first of all, thank you for all coming together here. Just 8 days now, 7.5 days, I guess, in front of the big day. Really appreciate you being here. You know, we have been traveling the state and since, February 22nd, 2011 officially. But even in the last few days here, our last 10 days, we've planned all along to be going door to door almost for votes, and we've been doing that. We've got a couple thousand miles probably ahead of us yet in this next week. But as we're traveling Indiana, we are fired up. I'll tell you, we are going to see an amazing, I'm absolutely convinced, an amazing election day next Tuesday. And it is because of all of you who've been wearing the shirts and working the parades and going door to door and getting ready to do the polls. You know, we've identified, we've told 2,500 critical polls for us in the state, and we've got poll workers at all of them. And that's a thrilling thing to see all that coming together and seeing everybody getting ready. Just one issue of the day, if I may, though. I don't know how much of you have been following what's been going on. And it's more and more troubling as we see the Benghazi situation and what is starting to be more and more of the story that it should be, in not just the more conservative media, but the national media. A couple days ago, I called for Joe Donnelly to join with me in a bipartisan election to urge that the United States Senate Foreign Affairs Committee come together to have an investigation that gets to the heart of what's going on. In the last 48 hours now, we've heard more about what the CIA knew, what CIA operatives knew, and yet at the same time, we were seeing the CIA director making statements that, it was just a spontaneous gathering, within at least 2 hours after the tragedy began. And by the way, it was a tragedy not that happened, but was spread over several hours itself. That these people weren't all murdered at one place in time. It took place over several hours. And the fact that there hasn't been that more bipartisan call for people coming together to get to the bottom of this, I think is certainly a lacking of leadership in the United States Senate. And I wish Mr. Donnelly would join me in the call for action. I don't expect it's going to happen, because if you didn't notice, today's an anniversary of sorts as well. It was 3 years and 6 months ago today was the last time the United States Senate voted on a budget. 3.5 years ago, despite the fact that it's a law mandated by the federal government that the Senate be active to pass a budget, and yet they're not doing so. I hope there's no voting between now and November 6th who has any question as to where I would be pushing a budget forward and where Mr. Donnelly would be in going along with Harry Reid. Any vote in this race that isn't coming our way is a vote for Harry Reid. And I hope you carry that to everybody you know. That is our message. We've got to get this economy going. We've got to get it growing. We've got to have Washington working more the way we've been doing it here in Indiana, where we make budgets, we lower taxes, we limit the size of government, and actually reduce the size of government. As a result of that, we paid our debt down in Indiana. As a result of that, we're one of the 5 states in America for new business development. The federal government should be doing the same, and they're not going to be doing that if we continue to keep Harry Reid in position of leadership in the United States. So I've been telling folks the last several days, look at this race if you like, about Mourdock versus Donnelly, but I don't think that's the way to look at it. I don't think it's necessarily even the way to look at it, Republican versus Democrat. I think the way this race must be considered is, are we going to be moving forward, or are we going to be tied up still in the gridlock of having the United States Senate controlled by Democrats, the House controlled by Republicans, and thus getting nothing done? Are we going to add to the gridlock by having a vote against Dan Coates cast every time Dan votes the right way, and Joe Donnelly would be voting against it? We're going to put gridlock in our own delegation if we do not stand forward as Republicans and get this job done. So I appreciate everything you all have done for us. I'm convinced we're going to win this race, and we are going to push until 6 p.m. in the Central Time Zone. Let's not forget, we have 2 here in Indiana. We're going to work till 6 p.m. in the Central Time Zones of Indiana a week from tomorrow. And thank you all so very, very much for being here. And look forward to talking to you as I kind of work the room here. And I'm told they got a great lunch here. I'm going to do that too. So thank you all for being here.